The wheat had turned out only 10 bushels to the acre, and wheat was selling at 50 cents a bushel. Not much of a crop. It had been too dry and the price was low, but the field of oats had yielded enough to furnish grain for the horses with some to spare. There was hay in great stacks, plenty for the horses and cows and some to sell. Manly was very cheerful and already planning for next year. He was in a great hurry to begin the fall plowing and the breaking of new sod land, for he was determined to double his acreage next year, or more if possible. The wheat for seed was stored in the claim shanty on the homestead, for there was no granary on the tree claim. The rest of the wheat was sold. Now it was a busy, happy time. Manly was early in the field plowing, and Laura was busy all day with cooking, baking, churning, sweeping, washing, ironing, and mending. The washing and ironing were hard for her to do. She was small and slender, but her little hands and wrists were strong, and she got it done. Afternoons, she always put on a clean dress and sat in the parlor corner of the front room sewing or knitting on Manly socks. Sundays, they always went for a buggy ride, and as the horses trotted along the prairie roads, Laura and Manly would sing the old singing school songs. Their favorite was "Don't Leave the Farm Boys." You talk of the mines of Australia, they've wealth in red gold without doubt, but there is gold on the farm, boys, if only you'll shovel it out. Chorus. Don't be in a hurry to go, don't be in a hurry to go. Better risk the old farm a while longer, don't be in a hurry to go. And Laura thought of the golden wheat stored in the homestead claim shanty, and she was glad. The drivers were short these days, so the plowing was hard work for pretty quick stepping, Skip and Barnum, the driving team. Manly said they were not large enough to do all the breaking of the new sod land. One day he came home from town leading 2 large horses hitched behind the wagon, and they were drawing a new sulky breaking plow. Now Manly said he could hitch all 4 horses to the big plow. Then there would be no trouble in getting the land broke for his crops next year. The horses had been a bargain because their owner was in a hurry to sell and get away. He had sold the relinquishment of his homestead to a man from the east and was going farther west and take up another claim where government land could still be found. The sulky plow had cost $55, but Manly had only paid half down and given a note for the rest to be paid next year. The plow turned a furrow 16 inches wide in the tough grass sod and would pay for itself in the extra acres Manly could get ready for crops, since he could ride instead of walking and holding a narrow walking plow. After that, Laura would go out in the morning and help hitch the 4 horses to the plow. She learned to drive them and handle the plow too, and sometimes would plow several times around the field. She thought it great fun. Shortly after this, Manly came from town again, and behind the wagon was a small iron gray pony. Here, he said to Laura, it's something for you to play with, and don't let me hear any more about your father not letting you learn to ride his horses. This one is gentle and won't hurt you. Laura looked at the pony and loved it. I'll call her Trixie, she said. The pony's feet were small and her legs fine and flat. Her head was small with a fine mealy nose and ears pointed and alert. Her eyes were large and quick and gentle, and her mane and tail were long and thick. That night after supper, Laura chose her saddle from the descriptions and pictures in Montgomery Ward's catalog and made the order for it ready to mail the first trip to town. She could hardly wait for the saddle to come, but she shortened the 2 weeks' time by making friends with Trixie. It was a beautiful, all-leather saddle, tan-colored and fancy stitched with nickel trimmings. And now, said Manly, I'll put the saddle on Trixie, and you and she can learn together. I'm sure she'll be gentle even if she never has been ridden, but better head her onto the plowed ground. It will be harder going for her, so she won't be so frisky, and a soft place for you to light if you fall off. So when Laura was safely in the saddle, her left foot in the leather slipper stirrup, her right knee over the saddle horn with a leaf horn fitting snugly about it, Manly let go the bridle, and Laura and Trixie went out on the plowed ground. Trixie was good and did her best to please even though she was afraid of Laura's skirt blowing in the wind. Laura didn't fall off and day after day they learned horseback riding together.